so no disguise. Every headline, I'm breaking it live. From the streets to the pressure of up top, we see it all, yeah, we connect the dots. Weekly rain, yeah, we run it down. Truth hit different when it wear a crown. No fluff, no cap, just facts in sight. Welcome to the weekly rain report. Let's get into it tonight.
Disclaimer: this broadcast is intended for commentary. Disclaimer: this broadcast is intended for commentary, discussion, and entertainment purposes only. All topics and statements are based on publicly available information, including news reports, social media content, and third-party sources, which may include allegations or unverified claims. The views expressed are opinions and should not be interpreted as confirmed facts. This content is not intended to harm, defame, misrepresent any individual, organization, or entity. Viewer discretion is advised. What's good, YouTube family, and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Rain Report. I am your host, Soft Rain, and this right here is where current events meet real issues and crown level conversations take center stage. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll share this with somebody. So if this is your first time here as well, just know that you're not just watching the news, you're stepping into a perspective. Over here, I just don't talk about what's happening. I break down what it means. The Weekly Rain Report is your Sunday reset. I'm going to be bringing this to you every Sunday. I'm trying to lock in a time today. My nap got the best of me. I was supposed to go on earlier, but I'm glad y'all are here with me. And I'm going to recap some of the stories that had us talking, questioning, and reacting over this past week, and sometimes just shaking our heads. But before that, make sure you share this with somebody. Like I said before, like, comment, of course, leave me your comments and share this with somebody who might need it. So tonight, I got a lot of things for us to cover. First of all, I have radar under investigation. I'm going to give y'all an update on the David case in the unfortunate unaliving of Celeste Hernandez, and the investigation of a New Orleans sheriff that is tied to the escape of those 10 inmates that happened last year. And then under policy and pressure, I'm going to look at two stories as well, impacting your right to vote and our Germany, the pullout in Germany. And for Hometown Rain, we're going to check in with TJ Parker, who is the Buffalo Bills' second round draft pick. And I'll get into more details on that. I'm so excited about that. And of course, for the Soul Reset, we're talking about literally giving somebody a piece of themselves to save another life. So go ahead and get comfortable. Drop those raindrops in the chat, the umbrellas, if you're watching with me tonight. And don't forget to like, of course, subscribe, and share this stream, because these conversations, they matter. So I'm going to get in. Let's see who's in here with me already. We got Into Deep. Hey, Into Deep. Sco, the best security in the world, is in the building. And of course, Into Deep said, welcome in, newbies. As you come in, please click the like button and subscribe. It's a free way to support the channel. And of course, my Glamour Fund is open. Of course, I'm not monetized officially here on YouTube, but if you would like to support, please hit the Cash App. It's Soft Rain, RSC, and Rain spelled REIGN, RSC. And as a matter of fact, let me make sure I got that pulled up, because sometimes I miss y'all stuff, and I don't be meaning to. Sometimes I miss y'all donations. I don't be meaning to, but for whatever reason, the notifications don't come through while I'm on. But I try to get back with everybody who has been supporting, and I appreciate everything. Okay, yep, it's up. So I got it up here so I can see it. Hayden Tanner, welcome in, welcome in. Make sure you subscribe and like and all that good stuff, and share it with your friends and family. So we're going to move in to, I skipped over. Hey, Rain. Hey, Jen. She said, let me do this properly. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you. And yes, we are on. I am on Discord. The whole RSC is on Discord. There's our Discord link. Make sure you join it. You can talk to us directly. Give us show ideas. We want to talk about what you want to talk about. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're going to get into this first segment. Jen, we just talked about this. Yes, breezy fun if you feeling real generous. I have not speaking of breezy, y'all, pause for the cause. I have not purchased the RME tour tickets because I feel as though right now it's hurting my heart. These ticket prices are too high. They knew what they were doing. They knew that we would spend our money. And right now, it's just not in my heart to give them that much of my income at this time. So if you are feeling generous, really generous, drop the cash app. Show me that you really care so I can go see Chris Brown. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I see those numbers are going up on the watch numbers. Make sure the new people that are in here, of course, I'm going to keep reiterating this throughout the whole show. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscribers up, so please subscribe. You can catch me 4 or 5 days out the week live, not only here, but on Souls of Thought channel. I'm on the No Middleman panel. And I do a live show on Thursdays, a live call-in show where you can call me and talk to me, and we can hash some things out over different topics. So without further ado, speaking of topics, let's get into the first segment, which is Radar Investigates. So let's do that. All right. Now for this first segment, the unfortunate unaliving of Celeste Hernandez. Let me see. Make sure I get these pulled up. So this is where things slow down and we really look at, oh, my computer did some funky thing. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is not right. Dude, let's try this again. Boom, StreamYard. StreamYard acting funny, y'all. Y'all think StreamYard acting funny? Okay. So this is where we slow things down and really look at what's happening beneath the headlines, because sometimes the story isn't just about what happened, it's about how it happened and what it reveals about people. Now, before I get into this, I do want to say that this case involves some serious and disturbing allegations, and I'll be sharing the facts in a respectful and mindful way, because it's been tough. I haven't been following it fully, so this made me actually deep dive into it a little bit further. I kept seeing the headlines and whatnot involving this case, and it's very disturbing, very sad. So tonight's case is centers around a young woman and a relationship that, according to investigators, started long before it should have. So according to prosecutors, the suspect, identified as David Burke, allegedly met the victim, Celeste Hernandez, when she was just 11 years old. And what investigators are claiming is that the relationship became increasingly inappropriate as time went on. So as we fast forward to the month of April, prosecutors say that there was a major argument between the two, and they were going back and forth through text messages. And according to reports, she was upset about him seeing other women. So she allegedly threatened to expose the information that could damage his life. And that's where things take a turn. So investigators say that he arranged for her to come to his home. And according to the prosecution's versions of events, that's where they believe that her life was taken. Now, again, these are allegations presented in court and not the defendant. And the defendant has pleaded not guilty. So now, but prior to the incident, what investigators also pointed out is, this is after the incident. This is the key evidence that they have. So according to reports, there were attempts to make it seem like she was still alive, including messages being sent from her phone. And they also say that physical evidence, including DNA, was also later found connected to the case. So I'm gonna play this new snippet, and then we'll get into it a little bit further. So this is the wrong one, y'all. I had the wrong thing pulled up. So let's see. That is not it. There we go. Now this one it's rather lengthy, but I'm gonna stop it halfway through because we're not gonna get into this whole thing. There we go. And then boom. So let's listen to it. Let's listen in.
On our top stories today, beginning with this, 2 high-profile murder cases go before judges today. Nick Reiner, accused of stabbing his parents to death, and singer David, accused of murdering Celeste Rivas Hernandez. A couple of really grim stories. Fox Local's Christina Gonzalez is live at the Criminal Courts building in downtown LA with the very latest on both cases this afternoon. Christina, a really busy day.
Oh, Marla, I just literally ran out of the David courtroom. And I'm going to warn everybody because what's happened today, we did not expect. They're setting a preliminary hearing for May 26. And what happened today, the big deal today, was that there was actually an argument between the defense and prosecutors because the prosecutors filed what they believe is their case to be presented at the preliminary hearing. Now, at that point, the defense stood up and said, we don't want the public to hear this. They tried to seal it because it is very, very disturbing. I have been able to obtain this. The judge agreed that it does not have to be sealed, so we, the media, can get it and present it to the people who you listening. But I want to warn you before I read some of these elements, this is disturbing stuff. And it's a good reason why they wanted it sealed, the defense. Let me show you some video, but please be aware. I'm going to try to be as tasteful as I can. But in essence, what the prosecution is saying is that David Burke met Celeste Rivas when she was 11 years old and he was 18. They started dating when she was 13. He was 18, and they started a sexual relationship. Now, they believe her parents found out, took her cell phone away because she kept on running away from him. And we've heard about this before. But he actually bought her a cell phone at her junior high school and actually, had it delivered to her. Now, they did have a sexual relationship for quite some time. She ran away. But here is, and I warn you, this is where it gets really crazy. According to the prosecution, the night before they believe she was killed, April 23rd, the night of the 22nd, there was a big fight, and they went back and forth with text messages. She was upset because he was seeing other girls, and she was threatening in those text messages to disclose information about him that would get him in trouble and, quote, ruin his career. So he actually gets an Uber for her, according to prosecutors, and has her delivered to his home that day, April 23rd, to come to the house. He pays the Uber to drop her off, and according to them, that is when he kills her. They say he stabbed her to death, and he actually waited, according to this complaint, until she, quote unquote, bled out. Then he took her phone, traveled to Santa Barbara, and kept on calling, texting her, saying, where are you? Where are you? As her body is sitting in her house, again, according to prosecutors. I want to underline that David has declared himself not guilty, okay, of all this already in court, of any charges or whatever may happen. So he goes to Santa Barbara, and that's where, according to the complaint, investigators actually found her ID and some of her stuff. Then he returns home, and get ready for this. He starts ordering on Amazon the tools that they say he used to dismember her body, including, and I kid you not, a burn cage and shovels and all kinds of things. Has the stuff delivered. And according to them, because they served a search warrant in his garage, this is where he supposedly did this, he proceeded to dismember her body. Specifically, Jerring is taking away her pinky finger because his name was tattooed on it. Again, these are allegations by the prosecution. He has pled not guilty, and this is the case they plan to present at the preliminary hearing on May 26th. They say that they have biological evidence, her DNA in the garage, in items left over from the pool, that kind of thing. Now, the defense wanted all this quashed because they said this is prejudicial to him, obviously. The prosecution in court was saying, of course it's prejudicial. It's our case against them. The judge decided, we do not steal this from the public. The defense said, well, how are you not going to taint the jury pool? And what the judge said is, LA is big enough, the jury pool is big enough, and they have enough cases like this that by the time we get to a trial, which probably will be in a few years, the jury pool will be able to find people who are not biased by this. Now, it goes on. I mean, I'm still reading through this paperwork, and I'm going to have a lot more at 5 o'clock. But, supposedly he drove the Tesla, and purposely he left her and the Tesla in the locations so that her body would decompose, according to prosecutors.
So she's about to get into a few details. Once she get into the details, we'll move forward. And I definitely will bring this back on May 26th. I'll keep a track of what's going on with it, and I'll bring it back to you on May 26th to see where those hearings go.
Prosecutors thinking that it would be much more difficult.
But it's crazy for him to think that he can. There's too much evidence lining up that's pointing directly towards him, where I don't even understand how he feels he can plead not guilty.
For them to tie her to him.
And supposedly he has 3 women defense lawyers surrounding him. So I don't know. And for them, I know I keep stopping, but for them to even believe that he's innocent, I know that's not their job to believe his innocence, but it is to prove his innocence. But I know that as women, they have to have some doubt in their heart that he can be innocent.
It's a really
gruesome,
really disturbing.
Very disturbing.
You know, I'm just giving you the highlights.
Right.
It's disturbing. And he was in court. Obviously, this was not read in court today, but he looks scared. He looks very alert. He's working with his attorneys. He has 3 female attorneys, very good attorneys. The prosecution also has a female attorney, so it's all women around this little guy. He's tiny. It amazes me how little he is. He's a very small-framed man. He was very alert, but he looks scared. And if this is what the prosecution says they can prove in their preliminary hearing, this is scary for them. The May 26th, they wanted, the defense had initially said, hey, let's do it Friday. And the prosecution called them on it, said, okay, let's do it Friday, but Friday's May Day. And they're expecting protests. The judge was saying, we're going to have protests downtown. Do you really want to do this? And then the defense, when they said they had just filed this motion, he said, wait a minute, no, we need some time to go over some evidence. And, they're still getting stuff. So they decided on May 26th. So that is when we will probably get more of this information. And it looks like a very difficult case. And
definitely, they're about to go into Nick Reiner, and I'm not covering Nick Reiner right now. So, but it's tough, guys. I mean, for him to have all this evidence stacked up against him is crazy. So the preliminary hearing is set for the May 26th, where prosecutors are expected to present more for the case. Stories like this, they're not just about crime, they're about power, control, and emotional dynamics that escalate over time. How does a situation like this get to this point? She was 11 when they started talking, and she didn't even make it to her 13th birthday. So when communication breaks down, when emotions turn into threats, when one person feels like they're about to lose control, that's when things can shift fast. Now, again, this is an ongoing case. All individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So sometimes, those warning signs, though, they aren't loud. They're quiet, consistent, and ignored. So we'll continue to follow this case as more comes out. Now, as disturbing as that case is, let me look at some of y'all comments, because I know y'all have been commenting. Let's see. Uncle Plug was in here. Of course, hey, if y'all want to share any subjects that y'all want me to cover, make sure you email me, conversationswithsoftbrain@gmail.com, or drop it in the Discord. We'll cover it. Yeah, Miles, she was 11. Welcome in, Miles. I appreciate you being here. And Souls is in the building. Great sports show with you and Uncle Plug this afternoon, especially covering Shiloh. Was it Shiloh? Yeah, that was Shiloh, and his make me a sandwich, Mary type deal. So yeah, so there's one more story that I want to cover and Radar Investigates, and it is Orleans Parish Sheriff. Say that real fast 3 times. Susan Hudson has been indicted in connection to a major investigation tied to a jailbreak involving multiple inmates. So last year, y'all know that 10 inmates escaped from a correctional facility in Louisiana. So the person responsible for overseeing the jail is now facing criminal charges connected to what happened inside of it. And according to reports, this is a 30-count indictment, including charges that like conspiracy, filing false public records, obstruction-related charges, and she's not alone. They also arrested the chief financial officer and is facing the same charges in connection with this case. So this all stems from the jailbreak that happened last year, where 10 inmates escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail. Many of them were facing serious charges at that time, and all of them, of course, have since been recaptured. I know there was one that took a while, but the real question is, how did this happen in the first place? So investigators are now looking at whether this was incompetence, negligence, or something just more intentional. Officials say the indictment suggests that basic responsibilities may not have been carried out, records may not have been properly handled, and critical systems may have failed at multiple levels. Actually, when I did this, they had not bonded out, but if I'm not mistaken, and I'll look right quick after I play the initial clip, I think they are bonded out, but bond was set at $300,000, and if convicted, we're talking about felony level charges with potential prison time attached. So let's look at the clip with that. Let me pull that up for y'all. And of course, I'm gonna check into this again and give y'all updates on it as time moves forward. So let me pull that up. I'll get that. Where are we at? There we go. Hold on. Pause for the cause. Add this to the stage. And y'all know I got 2 monitors and do not use both of them. This is sad. Rain, you got to do better. You got to do better, Rain. Uh-oh. Y'all be patient with me. Hold on. There we go. We're going to do better, Rain. We're going to use these 2 monitors like we supposed to. Let's see, y'all. There we go. So.
We start with some major breaking news. Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson indicted in connection with an investigation into last year's jailbreak in New Orleans.
So this indictment comes in connection with a state investigation by Attorney General Liz Murrow's office into last year's mass escape by 10 inmates. The bombshell news came down within just the last hour.
And so we do have team coverage for you right now to break down those charges and what's next in this investigation and the legal process. Let's start with WDS reporter Jasmine Franklin with the latest. Jasmine.
And Stella, we are still combing through all the new details from this case, as we just heard from the Attorney General's office, Liz Murrow, providing that update right now. We do know Sheriff Hudson has been indicted, 30-count indictment. They're facing several charges, including malfeasance in office, conspiracy to commit malfeasance, filing or maintaining false public records, along with a number of other charges. Now, documents show her bond has been set at $300,000, and she's not the only person facing charges. The sheriff's chief financial officer, Bianca Brown, was also indicted on 20 counts, facing similar charges, including conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice. Now, this comes nearly 1 year after 10 inmates ran out of the Orleans Parish Jail here. Many of those inmates were facing serious charges, and now all have been brought back into custody. But there were many concerns, specifically with the sheriff, regarding a timeline of notifying the public after the escape happened last May, and also how the jailbreak was even possible. Michelle Woodfork is set to take office here as the new sheriff of the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office starting on Monday. Reporting live outside of the jail, I'm Jasmine Franklin. Back to you.
Now, all of this comes just 1 day after Hudson made her farewell address, set to officially vacate that office on Monday.
Yeah, but before that, she is set to make her first court appearance tomorrow.
WDSU reporter Alyssa Gomez picks up our live team coverage. Alyssa, we know that there's an ad hoc judge, former Judge Franz Ziblich, who will hear this case tomorrow.
Yeah, Travers, and I'll tell you, as soon as we got here to the courthouse, all the reporters running inside to try to get a copy of the affidavit. Unfortunately, the clerk's office telling us that they do not have that paperwork in hand just yet, so they cannot give us copies, and told us to come back tomorrow morning, which we will be here. And the sheriff also expected to be here, as you mentioned, at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, like Randy said, this all comes as the sheriff is expected to leave office, even giving her farewell address yesterday after serving for 5 years as the leader of the Orleans Parish Justice Center. In that address, she touched on the jailbreak in May of last year, citing it as one of her most challenging experiences. Today, the Attorney General saying in that indictment that the sheriff did not comply with basic legal requirements. Again, this is a bombshell announcement that just dropped a couple of moments ago, so you can expect us to continue to follow it throughout the next couple of days, probably next couple of weeks, and we will be back out here at the courthouse when those doors open tomorrow morning to get a copy of that affidavit as well. Back to you.
Live right now, former state and federal prosecutor Matt Coman. Matt, big question here. How do we go from a jailbreak, which some people said was maybe incompetence, to criminal charges now for the sheriff of Orleans Parish?
Well, actually, the malfeasance in office charge actually can charge anyone with failing to perform a duty that they were required to perform. So the statute itself is very wide in scope. In fact, I believe there was another individual's a sheriff's office employee, actually Sterling Williams, who was charged with one of the same type of offenses and failing to perform various security requirements of his particular role. So we've got the malfeasance, as well as a failure to maintain accurate records and filing false public records, as well as the obstruction of justice charge itself. So you've got a wide range of charges. We got 30 counts total against the sheriff and 20 against the CFO. So it looks like there was a thorough investigation, and it's not just one particular incident. It's going to be multiple requirements that were violated, and that's what we expect to see in the indictment when you do see it.
And Matt, when it comes to those documents, would this be something along the lines of, because again, a lot of this is just speculation, but is this the handling of those documents, the covering up involving those documents as it relates to the jailbreak?
The obstruction of justice charge and the failure to maintain accurate records and or filing false records can actually be altering a record and filing some false record, or withholding the filing of a document and a record that you were required by law to file. So again, that particular charge, again, like the malfeasance in office charge, is very wide in scope and a number of different factors.
Yeah, so she's got all those charges stacked up against her. And I'm going to play this one right here, because this is where she was released. They were released on bond. So I'm going to play.
Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson and her Chief Financial Officer Bianca Brown both out on bond tonight after they were handed down a state indictment tied to the Orleans Parish jailbreak. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sharice Gibson. Last spring's jail escape led to a manhunt of 10 Orleans Parish jail inmates, and now it's leading to legal trouble for the outgoing sheriff. And Sanana McCall, she's been following the developments all evening. Sanana, what can you tell us? Obviously, a shock to everyone as she's getting ready to leave office.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been some major news today. Now, just before leaving office, Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson was taken into custody, indicted on 30 felony counts for her alleged role in what prosecutors call one of the largest jailbreaks in the country.
As I prepare to leave office in the coming days, I do so with gratitude.
A day after holding her farewell press conference, Susan Hudson is facing a 30-count indictment. It's a case experts say is rare and deeply tied to the troubled history of the Orleans jail.
Usually when you see, unfortunately, we've seen several times before, Orleans Parish officials being indicted, it's in federal court on charges of federal corruption, mail fraud, those sorts of things.
Instead, the indictment was brought by Louisiana's Attorney General after a special grand jury investigation into the escape of 10 inmates from the Orleans Justice Center last spring.
The Attorney General is going to have to prove that Sheriff Hudson intentionally refused or did not perform duties required by her office.
Prosecutors say Hudson didn't personally open the jail doors, but argue her failure to meet basic legal duties led to the escape.
The fact that intentional misconduct is required to prove all of these crimes makes it, at the very least, an interesting, if not a difficult case for the Attorney General's office to prove.
Former WWL investigative reporter Mike Perlstein says the indictment suggests prosecutors are looking beyond this moment.
That just raises the question, just speculating that there may be something systemic that ran through the course of her term, in office.
If there was anything to do with obstructing this investigation into the jailbreak in the aftermath of that crime, then we'd see kind of more traditional charges that might be brought in state court that relate to not in this case, the jailbreak itself, but the cover up afterwards.
To say that Sheriff Hudson had a rocky 4-year tenure would be an understatement.
I can't even begin to speculate as to why these charges were brought now rather than weeks or months ago or 2 or 3 weeks from now. There's no telling.
Hudson's Chief Financial Officer, Bianca Brown, was also indicted. Both surrendered their passports and are due back in court on Thursday.
And Sanana, I have to tell you, that was a rocky time. Mike Perlstein was right in saying this, that 4-year tenure that she served as the first African-American woman to serve as sheriff. It was a rough tenure. And it also dealt with public trust. A lot of people said they lost faith in public trust in the sheriff's position. What did they have to say about that?
Yeah, so we know that when Sheriff Hudson inherited this jail, it was in pretty tough condition. We know that she took it on when there were staffing shortages, there were security problems, and her leadership promised to go about reforming this department, as well as expecting more accountability from the department itself once it was inherited.
Right.
But after the jailbreak, a lot of people lost trust in that situation. Even the AG's office said that only her leadership made problems worse. We did hear from the sheriff-elect, Michelle Woodford, who says that there has.
Yeah. So of course, they're going to find reasons and try to, what's the word I'm looking for? I wonder why she wasn't indicted sooner. If this was an issue, and this happened May last year. So why was she not indicted sooner? I guess they had to get all their evidence together beforehand. So, all right, y'all, because let's see. So both of these cases that we just covered, the David case and the sheriff, Susan Hudson. What her name was? Susan Hudson. Yeah, Susan Hudson. because both of these cases are still under investigation. Of course, I'm going to follow up with y'all. We'll bring David back after May 26th, and then I'll see Thursday what's going on with the sheriff, and probably bring that back to y'all on Sunday. So coming up next, I got policy and pressure. We're going to move on to our next segment, policy and pressure. All right, so let's step into policy and pressure, where we break down the decisions being made at the top and how they quietly reshape life for everybody. Because whether it's happening in the courtroom or across the globe, power is always in motion. I'm looking at two major stories, one impacting the right to vote and the other shaping America's role on the world stage. So here's what happened. We're staying in Louisiana tonight. Louisiana has suspended its upcoming primary election just one day after the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that the state's congressional map is unconstitutional. The reason is lawmakers were found to have allowed race to influence how district lines were drawn. Now, on the surface, this might sound like a technical legal issue, but let's be clear, it's about representation. It's about who gets a voice and who doesn't. So to really understand the weight of this moment, we have to go back to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That was a law born out of the Civil Rights Movement after decades of systematic efforts to block Black Americans from voting. So we're talking about poll taxes, literacy tests, violence, and intimidation. Real people lost their lives, like George Lee and Lamar Smith, for simply trying to help others register to vote. And then came a moment the world couldn't ignore: the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where peaceful protesters were brutally attacked on national television. That moment shocked the country and pushed President Johnson to act, signing the Voting Rights Act into law in 1965, and it worked immediately. Within months, over 250,000 Black Americans were registered to vote in states that had previously blocked them. Over time, though, those protections have been chipped away. One of the biggest turning points came with Shelby County versus Holder in 2013. Their ruling removed a key safeguard, which required certain states to get federal approval before changing voting laws. So now the latest decision adds another layer, because while the court says race can't be used improperly in drawing districts, critics argue that weakening protections could make it harder to ensure fair representation in the first place. So I got a couple of videos for this. Let me do this. First, we're going to look at the history. Hold on. Let's see. Share this tab instead. Add this to the stage. We're going to make it bigger, and then we're going to play it.
Louisiana suspended its primary election that was about to start on Saturday, just one day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on the Voting Rights Act.
So this ruling states that Louisiana's current congressional map is unconstitutional. They say lawmakers allowed race to play a part in their decision-making.
And we're going to talk about the potential impact we could see here in Illinois and Indiana. But first, we want to go to Marion Brooks. She's here to explain the significance of the Voting Rights Act. Marion.
It was really landmark legislation back in 1965. It grew out of the civil rights movement. But the fight for the right to vote goes back to the post-Reconstruction era right after the Civil War. Poll taxes, literacy tests, and even outright violence was used to stop African Americans from voting. In fact, in 1955, for example, two men in Mississippi, George Lee, the first man you saw there, and Lamar Smith, were killed for trying to register Black people to vote. And we still commemorate those people who marched from Selma to Montgomery, crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge and being attacked by police, all for the right to vote. Now, that march and the subsequent violence in 1965 played out on folks' televisions. People were horrified. The response led to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was signed by Lyndon Johnson on August 6th. Now, the Voting Rights Act is widely viewed as very successful. The very same year it was enacted, in just a matter of months, you guys, it was enacted in August. By the end of the year, 250,000 African Americans had been registered to vote in states that had had restrictive measures. signatures. So it worked immediately. The Voting Rights Act was also extended or amended 5 times, signed by both Republican and Democratic presidents. It had bipartisan support, but the Supreme Court, in some of its decisions that started about 16 years ago, began to weaken the Voting Rights Act, specifically beginning kind of in 2013, Shelby County versus Holder. That ruling took down the pre-clearance provision. That portion of the law required certain states to clear any of their voting changes with the Department of Justice. Most of those states had previous histories of discrimination in voting. And that was kind of just the first one, and the one that happened today was another. So we've seen quite a few cases that have sort of stripped some of the power from the Voting Rights Act of 65.
Important to know the history and how far we've come and what happened now.
Context of how that all started and where it came from.
Yeah. So what video is this? Let's play this video.
U.S. Supreme Court dealt a blow to the landmark Voting Rights Act on Wednesday after knocking out a major pillar of the law that had protected against racial discrimination in voting and representation. In the 6 decades since it was signed, the Voting Rights Act became one of the most consequential laws in the nation's history, preventing discrimination against minorities at the ballot box. It also helped elect Black and Hispanic representatives at all levels of government. But on Wednesday, the Supreme Court hollowed out the landmark civil rights era law by striking down a majority Black congressional district in Louisiana. That ruling could provide an open door for political mapmakers to undermine minority representation. The Voting Rights Act was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson on August 6, 1965, 5 months after the Bloody Sunday attack on civil rights marchers in Selma, Alabama, gave momentum to the bill.
Wherever there is discrimination, this law will strike down all restrictions used to deny the people the right to vote.
In recent years, AP reporter Gary Fields sat down with some of the people who were pivotal to the birth of the act.
After having talked to these individuals and to a number of other people about why voting rights was so important, the reason for why they were so important then hasn't changed now. In a democracy or a republic such as ourselves, the vote is the thing that you have that is the coin of the realm that allows you to say, I'm a full participant in this society, in this endeavor that we call the United States of America.
The question now is, what comes next for minority representatives and the communities they represent?
Right. So now this doesn't just stop with Louisiana, y'all. All the way in Illinois and Indiana and all across the country, decision like this can influence how maps are drawn. I want to ask y'all, though, the people that are here, do rulings like this make the system more fair, or do they risk silencing communities over time? So I do have a few comments in the chat. Let's see. Into Deep. I think that was from my last segment. He said it's rolling up downhill. And International Sco said that was Derek Grove's girlfriend, right? I don't know, Sco. I'm not for certain. Vaughn Type Flight, welcome back. You was at my show on Thursday. Welcome back. I do this on Sundays. I'm glad you're here. Miles said they are trying to turn the clock back to Jim Crow. Voting rights is the first step. Miles. Yeah. So I got one more under policy and pressure. We got to talk about things that are going on with the military as well. So now while we're talking about power and influence at home, because let's zoom out, because that same conversation is happening across the global stage too. So tonight, the Pentagon has announced that it plans to withdraw approximately 5,000 troops from Germany, U.S. troops from Germany. So we have to put that into perspective. Germany currently hosts about 38,000 U.S. troops. I don't think that people understand, one, and know how many troops, and this is Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, Space Force, all of our military branches, not branches, but all of our military people, they're all over the world. And so Germany in itself holds about 38,000 troops. We have troops everywhere, making it America's largest military presence in Europe, period. So this move would bring troop levels back down to where they were before 2022, before Russia's invasion of Ukraine shifted global defense strategies. Dang, April. Oh. But this isn't just about numbers. This decision comes from raising tensions involving the situation with Iran, strained relationships with European allies, and public disagreements between President Trump and Germany's Chancellor Merz. At one point, Germany did criticize the U.S., saying that America lacked a clear strategy in dealing with Iran. And shortly after that, the U.S. began reviewing its military presence in Germany. So military presence isn't just about protection. It's about leverage. When the U.S. pulls troops back, it can signal that we're reassessing our role. Alliances are being reevaluated. or even support is not unconditional. So with everything going on and involving NATO, this raises bigger questions about how strong those alliances really are. So let's get into this video about, boop. Hold on, y'all. Let me add this. Share this tab instead. I'm gonna do this and pop it like that. Boom.
Clash with Europe over the war with Iran, the Pentagon set to pull thousands of U.S. troops out of Germany. A spokesperson announcing the withdrawal of approximately 5,000 troops from Germany. This decision follows a thorough review of the department's force posture in Europe. Pentagon officials telling NBC News it includes one brigade combat team, but won't impact massive medical support bases like Landstuhl. There are approximately 38,000 U.S. troops in Germany, the most in Europe, and the reductions will bring U.S. forces down to 2022 levels before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It comes after President Trump's public rift with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Earlier this week, the president saying the U.S. was, quote, studying and reviewing the possible reduction of troops in Germany, after Merz said the Iranian regime had humiliated the U.S. during negotiations and that America has no strategy. But after President Trump's threat to remove U.S. troops, Merz quickly backtracked, saying Iran must come to the negotiating table. It must no longer hold the entire region and ultimately the whole world hostage. All of it as President Trump has recently slammed NATO allies.
We spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year on NATO, hundreds of protecting them. And we would have always been there for them. But now, based on their actions, I guess we don't have to be, do we?
Oh, it went into my other video. We'll get into that in just a minute. So let's see why this matters. Because just like voting laws shape the country, shape us, who has the power inside of it, or shapes who has the power inside the country, military decisions shape how power is projected outside of it. So in one conversation, we're looking at representation at home, another influence abroad, different areas, of course, same core issue as power, right? So Soul said this is fear mongering. You think so, Souls? It's a brigade combat team, a BCT, that they bringing back from Germany. I think we were heavy in Germany, especially with the Iraq war too. I don't think that BCT has been over there that long. I had to look into it. And Too Deep said this also hurts Germany financially because that's part of their economy. Absolutely. And that might, with 5,000 coming back, that might make a significant difference in their economy over there. Are we pulling out or relocating troops? So Germany has about 38,000. So I think a brigade combat team, I mean, those get moved around anyways, as far as I know now. I don't know a lot, but I will say brigade combat teams can be moved around, especially when things like war are going on. So it's going to hurt financially Germany, but they're just going to move that brigade combat team to another location. They might bring them all the way home, or they probably take them to another location overseas as well. So I don't know. I'm not a military analyst. I'm just going off of what a disclaimer. I am not a military analyst. I'm just going off of what I may know a little bit of it. So yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see what's going on with that. I don't think it'll affect us at all, but Germany, of course. So do y'all think it's a strategy or efficiency, or is it a message to our allies about alignment and loyalty? So, and that's closing out policy and pressure, where we're talking about ballots or battalions, and decisions being made behind closed doors always shape what happens in the open. So at the center of it all, power, who has it and who gets to keep it. Yeah, y'all. So that was policy and pressure. And I'm most excited for this one. We're going to move on to my next segment, which is Hometown Rain. Let me get that pulled up for y'all. And thank y'all for rocking with me. We halfway through the weekly rain report, and I appreciate y'all being with me this long. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share, of course, as always. Let's see. Let me get this pulled up. So we're gonna move on to hometown rain. All right, y'all, we're going to bring it home. This is Hometown Rain, where we spotlight stories that remind us that greatness can come right from where we stand. And this one right here, this one hits a little closer to home for me. With the 35th pick in the 2026 second round NFL draft, the Buffalo Bills selected linebacker TJ Parker out of Clemson University. But before the draft lights, before the national spotlight, TJ Parker was put in work right here at Central High School in Phoenix City, Alabama. For those of y'all that don't know, Columbus, Georgia, and Phoenix City, Alabama sit right on the border of Georgia and Alabama, and there's just a river in between. So it's they call it the Tri-City area with Fort Benning, Columbus, Georgia, and Phoenix City, Alabama. So, and we are, for those of y'all who don't know that either, we're about 30 minutes away from Auburn. So a lot of greatness comes out of Columbus and Phoenix City. He is a 3-time All-Star, All-State player, dominating at the high school level and earning his spot in the All-American Bowl back in 2023. He took that same energy to Clemson, and he didn't ease into it. He made an immediate impact. He broke Clemson's freshman record with 12 and a half tackles for loss. And then by 2024, he stamped himself as a top NFL prospect with 19.5 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, and led the entire season with 6 forced fumbles. And if that wasn't enough, 4 sacks in one game against Pittsburgh and 3 sacks in his final game versus South Carolina. So we're not talking about flashes. We're talking about dominance, of course. And actually, I'll give you a visual, okay? At the combine, at the NFL combine, he came in at 6'3", 263 pounds. He ran a 4.68 40. He had a 34-inch vertical and a 10-foot broad jump. So before we get into the video where he was selected in the NFL draft, I do want to bring up some of his highlights. Is this his highlight reel? I think. Let me see, y'all. Yeah, this is his 2025 highlights. I'm going to bring that up for y'all to watch. Yeah, we're going to put it on a big screen.
3rd and 11 here in this environment. See if Tom Allen dials up some pressure. No, they're going to run the ball, and they're going nowhere. TJ Parker made the stop on Durham. Interesting call on 3rd and 11. Pitch on the far side is incomplete. Could have been 3 possibilities here. Touchdown, out of bounds to the 1. They went incompletion, Bill. Your thought?
2. Meadows patient. Nowhere to go this time, though. Dropped right in his tracks. Chandra, what's going on?
Well, guys, junior running back Tay Meadows is embracing.
Stumbles, loses the football. Now he's going to have to eat it. TJ Parker with the pressure up the middle.
Okay, let's see. His foot got stepped on. Yep, his foot got stepped on by either right guard Matt Henry.
Straight quarterback run. And Haynes King spun down behind the line of scrimmage. DeMonte Capehart. 4-man rush. And Jelly steps up in the pocket. Down he goes. And maybe Dabo Sweeney now becomes the coach to call a timeout.
Confidence of his Clemson offense. Johnson hands it off to Hall. Nowhere to go. He's going to be stopped up for a short loss by TJ Parker. Johnson completed. And nowhere to go that time for June. Brought down by TJ Parker, who has been much more active today. Another 3 and out.
So 1st and 10 at the Tiger 20. TJ Harden going to get the ball. That goes nowhere. Clemson not having that. And TJ Parker tackles TJ Harden. That's Hudson in motion. They're going to go Johnson again, and he'll get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
TJ Parker.
Y'all see it. Y'all see it. Let me pull up his when he was called. There we go, right here.
With the
wait a minute, and before we even get into this, I think I can't. Well, Yeah, let's see. I think maybe somebody had a little bit too much to drink.
The 35th pick in the 2016 draft, the Buffalo Bills select linebacker T.J. Parker from Clemson.
All right, so T.J. Parker, an opportunity to try to flex with Bills Mafia. Pretty good performer in the ACC for a Clemson team that did underachieve.
Yeah, they did underachieve, but he is a very talented player. You go back and watch the 2024 tape, you're far more impressed than what you saw last season. This, to me, is signaling the shift that they're making defensively with Jim Liner coming on board, going to a 3-4 scheme. Sometimes you need some heavy-handed guys on the edge. And even though they're 3-4 in semantics, they still need a heavy-handed guy that can play. And with Parker, you have someone not only can play on the edges, but maybe he's that heavy 5 technique that plays that defensive end role. I love him coming on board with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills need to get better on defense. He can help them as they seek to find a way to get back into title contention.
Yeah, he can't, he is he's a big boy now. He's a player who I think can add more weight, as Bucky alluded to, and they call him linebacker. I mean, he'll be an edge, 3-4. He can line up outside if he needs to, a little wider. He can line up tighter to the line of scrimmage. What you see on tape, and Bucky can attest to this, especially in 24, that one arm, that long arm rush, where as soon as he sticks you with that long arm rush, he is going to drive most tackles into the pocket. The problem is they figured him out this year that this was his go-to, and they really set up to stop that. So he's going to have to add something to his arsenal and mix things up so that he's not as predictable.
Yeah, we saw a slew of trades.
Yeah, y'all. So that is T.J. Parker right here from good old Phoenix City, Alabama. Now, in his final season, though, he had 37 tackles, 5 sacks, and 9.5 tackles for a loss. Solid, but not as explosive as the year before. But here's the thing. No matter how you break it down, this is a major moment from Central High School in Phoenix City to Clemson University, and now hearing his name called by the Buffalo Bills. That's the journey. That's the work that's paying off. So first and foremost, congratulations to T.J. Parker, because getting to this level is not just luck. That's years of discipline, sacrifice, and showing up when nobody's watching. And for everybody watching from Phoenix City, Columbus, Georgia, Fort Benning, the Tri-City area, this is what it looks like. Proof that where you come from doesn't limit where you can go. Now, as he steps into this next chapter in the NFL, we are wishing him health, growth, and a long, successful career. And don't worry, I'm going to be keeping an eye on him all season. I'm going to bring you updates, highlights, and tracking how his journey unfolds right here on Hometown Reign, because once you make it on the radar, you don't just disappear. I stay tapped in. So keep going, TJ. The city is watching, and we are rooting for you. Right. So that's T.J. Parker. We wish him all the best success. Yes, indeed. I'm going to get to some of these comments. This is from the last segment. Miles said, are we pulling out or relocating troops? Oh, I did cover that. And Too Deep said, job loss. An estimated 12,000 German civilians are employed in jobs directly connected to the U.S. military. Yeah, with them moving just a brigade combat team out into deep, I don't think that they will be impacted so much. A couple of jobs, but not so many. But we do enhance their economy with having civilian workers over there. And Too Deep said, good pursuit angles. And Too Deep said he straight power moves. Yeah, he's we're gonna keep a watch on him. TJ Parker, he did good. Hey, Classic, welcome in, Classic. Roxy said, hey, Roxy, welcome in, Roxy. Y'all made it in time for my last segment, which is a soul reset. Let me get that pulled up for y'all. Yeah, so before I close out tonight's show, I want to take a moment to reset the energy in the room, because we had some heavy headlines earlier. Sometimes we need a reminder that good still exists, that people still care, and that God is still moving even in the quiet moments. And this is one of those stories. There are more than 100,000 people in this country right now who are waiting on an organ transplant. And every day, they say at least 13 people lose their lives waiting for that call that never comes. For one woman in Memphis, Tennessee, that wait was supposed to be 5 to 7 years just to receive a kidney. 5 to 7 years. But her story didn't go that way because somewhere else there was another woman, a wife, a mother of 3, a woman with a full life, responsibilities, and everything on her plate. And one day she saw a post on Facebook. She said, hey, what's going on with this? It wasn't about somebody that she knew. It wasn't about family. It was a total, complete stranger. And something in her spirit said, I could do that. She went through weeks of testing, uncertainty, and prayer, and then the call came back. She was a match. So in August, she donated one of her kidneys to someone that she had never met. Meanwhile, the woman on the other side of that story, she had been living with chronic kidney disease, high blood pressure, and she was on the transplant list for 18 months. And at one point, she had made peace with the possibility that her time might be limited. She even chose to live her life fully instead of starting dialysis because to her, if she couldn't live, it wasn't living at all. So I'm gonna pull up that video. Let me get back to that. There it is. Oh, get this to the page.
Living organ donation, a critical solution to a problem facing tens of thousands of Americans.
Every day, 13 people die waiting for an organ transplant. As a living organ donor, you can donate one kidney, part of your liver, and certain other organs and tissues.
Living organ donation is critically important because that precious gift of life is literally the difference between life and death for people on the waiting list. The wait for a deceased donor kidney is far too long.
For a patient in Memphis, Tennessee, doctors told her she would have to wait 5 to 7 years for a kidney. But she says her prayers were answered a year and a half after being placed on the waiting list.
Reporter Kim Clark shows us how a Facebook post connected two strangers and led to a life-saving donation.
So I let God lead me.
Jenny Joyner is a busy wife and mother of 3.
We have 4 dogs and a cat. So yeah, my oldest is a senior, my youngest is 10, and my middle child has Down syndrome. So we have lots going on.
Especially since Jenny embarked on an unexpected medical journey spurred on by social media.
Tell me how this all came about for you to decide to be a donor, because you didn't donate for someone you knew.
Facebook and God, to be honest. So a friend of mine posted on Facebook about the opportunity to be a living donor, and she knew someone who needed a kidney. So for whatever reason, that day I was like, I could do that.
After weeks of compatibility testing at the Methodist Transplant Institute, word came Jenny had a match. In August, she donated one of her kidneys to a complete stranger. She never met the recipient, but she did get a letter from them. Jenny knows now Stacy Hobson wrote that letter.
I just thanked her from the bottom of my heart because I just feel there's no amount of words that I could say to thank her enough. I'm like, if she don't know, she's my new best friend. She got a new sister.
Stacy suffered from chronic kidney disease and high blood pressure and had been on the transplant wait list for 18 months. An avid traveler, she decided to forego dialysis against her doctor's wishes and just try to live life to the fullest.
But I'm like, if I can't do the things that I love, it's not living for me. And he told me, you're not going to be here. And I made peace with God.
The same month Jenny began testing, Stacy was traveling through Greece when she said she suddenly felt at peace.
I just prayed. I asked God, I said, Lord, you know what I want. You know what I want. I pray that my will aligns with yours.
Shortly after returning from her trip, Stacy got the call from Methodist.
You have a match. And I was like, huh? And I literally screamed.
Stacy headed into her August transplant surgery with a smile on her face and love in her heart for the person whose selfless act likely saved her life.
I've been praying, and I just felt like it was God that heard my prayer and placed it on her heart.
Stacy, I want you to meet Jenny Joyner.
In early November, Stacy and Jenny met for the first time.
I hope you're doing well.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm great.
Both fully recovered and back to their normal lives.
It is perfect.
Oh, good.
It is perfect.
Now forever connected by something greater than them, and yet no bigger than the hollow of his hand.
If I had 3 kidneys, I would give another one.
If God has placed it on your heart, because it may not be for everyone, but if it is, then do it, because you just don't know the difference that you would make in someone else's life.
There are more than 100,000 people on the national transplant waiting list, and 85% need a kidney.
Experts say a kidney from a living organ donor not only helps decrease a recipient's wait time on the list and their need for dialysis, but research has shown they have better outcomes than those receiving organs from deceased donors.
And most living organ donors go on to live active, healthy lives.
However, living donors sometimes face barriers such as insurance discrimination or the potential for out-of-pocket expenses that are not reimbursed. Some states have taken steps to help limit those costs. You can learn more about registering and the support for living donors.
Yeah. I thought it was a heartwarming story, although I will say, Rain, I gotta be selfish some way, somehow. I don't know. I would have to pray about it. I really would have to pray about it. I don't know if I could be a donor, a living donor in that manner. I would really have to play. It would really need to be on my heart. Now, a close family member, of course, especially if it's life-saving, but a complete stranger, don't judge me, y'all. Don't judge me. So I will say, now see this right here. This is not what I mean when I say not everything is broken, because in a world where people argue, divide, and tear each other down, there are still people who will say, I may not know you, but I'll show up for you. And this brings me back to when I talked about people supporting you, and then people supporting you more than your friends do. And that's what gets me the most. This is not about recognition. It wasn't about attention. She didn't even know the woman she was helping. She just felt led. So I'm going to be honest with y'all. Some of us are waiting on miracles, but we don't realize that sometimes we are somebody else's miracle. Sometimes it's not about having everything figured out. It's about listening when something pulls at your spirit and says, move. Because look at what happened here. One woman prayed, another woman answered, and even without knowing it. So that's alignment, that's faith, and that's purpose. So tonight, if nothing else, let the story remind you that kindness still exists, sacrifice still matters, and God is working through people every single day. And maybe, just maybe, the next time something is placed on your heart, you won't ignore it, because you never know whose life could be changed just by you saying yes. All right, that is your soul reset for tonight. Take that with you, sit with it, and let it remind you of who we still have the ability to be. I am going to read some of these comments. Into Deep said, my uncle was on dialysis for years before they got his kidney. This is a great story. Absolutely. Absolutely. Classic said, kidney disease and high blood pressure are completely avoidable. She needs to change her eating, or the new kidney is doomed. I'd only give a kidney to somebody changing their ways. Miles said, yeah, great story. Into Deep said, facts, classic. And Into Deep said, I wouldn't judge you. My uncle was mad at me for years for not giving my kidney to him, but I also watched him drink himself into oblivion. Absolutely. This is one of the reasons you have to have discretion when you do, because not only are you, yes, you may be helping somebody, but are they going to, value it and care for it better than you would? So you're giving somebody else another chance at life while sacrificing yours too as well. So absolutely, absolutely. I do have one more segment for y'all, a little bit of breaking news. So before I let y'all go, we're going to get into some breaking news. Y'all, Spirit Airlines said bye-bye. They closed their doors. Let me bring this up. I'm going to share. Let's see. Let me add this to the stage and then, oops, there we go. Yeah, Spirit Airlines, y'all. If y'all are traveling or know somebody who might be traveling, or a lot of people have been affected by this too. So let's listen to.
There was a proposed merger between JetBlue and Spirit. And Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, along with the Biden DOJ, decided that they did not want that merger to take place. And at the time, the Biden and Buttigieg DOJ bragged and said, as they canceled the option for this merger, that this was a victory for U.S. travelers who deserve lower prices and better choices. And this today would indicate this is not better for travelers. This is not better for pricing. This is not better for competition. Actually, it's worse.
So that was Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy talking about the merger and the fallout of Spirit Airlines shuttering its doors. So let's take a look back at that merger with JetBlue that could have saved Spirit Airlines. You go back to the merger. The merger itself was $1 billion per year in consumer savings, 10,000 new direct jobs by 2026, and 1,000 daily flights to 145 plus destinations. Remember, Spirit, along with JetBlue, are the low-cost airlines, not the big ones like American, United, Southwest, and Delta. So you look back in the history. So in 2023, Biden administration sued to block that nearly $4 billion merger. 2024, the federal judge blocked it. The Biden administration brought that lawsuit. It caused Spirit not once, but twice to file for bankruptcy in 2024, in 2025. Then, of course, what we saw play out yesterday, 277 flights canceled, boom, drop 17,000 jobs. 17,000 workers are out of a job today, could push fares up by $100. Let's look back at the former Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, who was bragging about shutting that merger down.
The Department of Transportation has generally not gotten involved in these merger cases, but that's changing today. It is so important to make sure that passengers have choices, that they have access to low fares, that they have access to competition.
And with that, Airlines for America works on behalf of airlines to improve travel. President, former New Hampshire Governor.
I'm going to pause it right there, y'all, because I should have started with this other video first. Let me do this right here so we can listen to some of the I know this is going to talk, the other video was talking about the merger and everything, so hang on. This gives a little bit more details into the shutdown.
Has officially shut down. The budget airline, recognized by its bright yellow planes and discount fares, said today that all its flights have been canceled. 10 on your side's Angela Bohan went to Norfolk International Airport today to talk with travelers and get the latest on what you should do if you had plans to fly with Spirit.
Spirit advises travelers not come to the airport because here in Norfolk anyway, this is what you will find. The airline says they can't book you with another carrier, but they will issue you a refund. So certainly this weekend, a lot of travelers nationwide scrambling to rearrange their plans.
I'm not disappointed or shocked, should I say. My luggage got tore up on Spirit. They left me several times. So I hope they close for the better.
No love lost between some travelers and Spirit Airlines, but the news created nearly 280 canceled flights across the nation on Saturday alone, according to FlightAware. Spirit had been struggling since the pandemic. Its president and CEO said they had worked on a restructuring plan, but the rise in fuel prices left them with no alternative. A spokesperson for Norfolk International says it's unfortunate, but one silver lining is that Spirit had only been serving 2 nonstop markets from ORF, those being Fort Lauderdale and Orlando. He says between JetBlue, Breeze, Frontier, and Southwest, local travelers should have plenty of options. I'm interested to see what they do with it because there's a bunch of planes and there's a bunch of, employees and buildings and stuff. Spirit employs about 17,000 people. The U.S. Department of Transportation says some carriers are offering preferential job interviews to those affected. And if you have a voucher with Spirit Airlines, well, it seems you're out of luck with that. But again, if you do have a ticket, you should be able to get a refund. And we do have more information inside our story at wavy.com with a lot of answers to frequently asked questions. At the Norfolk International Airport, Angela Bohan, 10 on your side.
Angela, thank you. And now other airlines are helping travelers who had their tickets with Spirit Airlines. United, Delta, JetBlue, and Southwest have all announced they are capping ticket prices for Spirit flyers who now have to rebook their flights for a certain time period. American and Delta Airlines have also announced reduced fares on Spirit routes that are frequently traveled. More information on these resources can be found over, of course, on wavy.com. And speaking of Norfolk International, there's a road closure that you should know about near that area. Sunday at 2 a.m., Robin Hood Road acts.
We're not worried about that. I will. Here's a Spirit airline employee too, because y'all got to look at it. It's affected 17,000 employees. These people don't have a job. That's rough in itself, especially in this economy. And speaking of that too, on the way home this afternoon, when I was coming through town, the gas prices are over $4 a gallon where I'm at. I haven't seen that in years. So let's listen in on this this employee that they got caught. They caught up with this employee, a former Spirit employee.
I'm here with a former Spirit Airlines employee. This is Asia. She was going on 4 years as a flight attendant with the airline. A lot of questions people have had now that this bankruptcy has happened is or now that Spirit Airlines is shut down altogether, is what happens to the employees, the pilots, flight attendants, mechanics. So many people, over 17,000 people were employed with the company. One of them right here. So, Asia, can you tell me about your experience when you first heard that Spirit Airlines was no more?
When I first heard, my mom actually notified me I was actually asleep. I was sound asleep, and my mom called me. I'm not feeling well, so you can tell I'm a little sick. So I didn't register what she said, and then I had another fellow colleague of mine call me, and she was like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, I know everything's probably canceled." And I'm like, "Cancel? What do you mean?" So I go and I check all my itineraries, and I check my email, and it says like, "Hey guys, this is what we're moving forward. If you are somewhere, this is what we're going to do. This is our procedure. This is our process." And just to be on standby and wait for them to contact us to get us where we got to go.
Okay, so you didn't get a prior heads up from Spirit Airlines that they may be shutting down altogether.
Well, so yes, they did keep us informed with emails and just letting us updating us about those things, because I mean, let's be honest, we get those all over, but they were just more so reassuring us like, "Hey guys, we're going to stand strong with each other. It's better together than without." So yeah, they did. They definitely did.
Okay, very nice. And so now what position? Are you from Houston? Is this your home?
No, not at all. I actually was working a flight yesterday. I did some other things prior to coming to work, and then they pulled me. They're like, "Hey, we actually need you to work this flight Atlanta to Houston." It was going to be a one and done, and then I was supposed to deadhead today, which is basically just ride as a passenger today, later on this evening, and a simple trip. And yesterday was just a regular day. You got up, met my crew. Everyone was like, "Yeah, we've been here." It was nice. It was an easy flight, so I didn't expect this, but
yeah,
we're here.
So now you're in Houston. What has Spirit said or done to help you get back home to Atlanta?
Oh, so I was waiting by the line, so I waited about till 12 o'clock because I've been up. So about 12 o'clock, I reached out to them, and then I got about like a 10-15 minute wait. They called me back. They were like, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, we want to let you know we are willing to like get you back home. Give us 1 second." They operated that within not even 5 minutes. Honestly, she got back with me. I was booked for the next flight. So they've been really, really helpful, very hands-on with like just staying communicating with us.
Okay, very nice.
So at least they're helping their employees get back to where they need to go,
So good to hear that they've taken care of their employees through this situation. And so what's next for you? I mean, this is your livelihood. You're a flight attendant, and your company that you worked for now doesn't exist. Other airlines have stepped up saying that they'll start interviews. Will you go do any of those interviews, or what's next for you?
So for me, I plan to. This is something I've been doing for 7 years. Spirit was going to kind of be my home base, but now I can just take what I have from Spirit and apply it somewhere else. Hopefully somebody can take a great flight attendant that's looking forward to continue this career.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you started seeing other airlines pop up saying, "Hey, we will start doing interviews with flight attendants and pilots that were working for Spirit," did that give you a little bit of encouragement or confidence moving forward?
It did. It actually gave me more of a cushion, because I know during the process because I was also part of the furlough as well. So being a part of that process as well, it was like, what am I supposed to do? So all the nerves are just like, they may take me, they may not. I don't know what to do. So to see that they're like willing and like, "Hey, we're here if you guys need us. We're going to accept you for how you come." That really means a lot, because that's how Spirit takes their employees. That's how they got me.
Yeah. So one more video, y'all. Well, before we get to that last video, because I wanted to show y'all how other airlines are helping out. Now I have seen a lot of posts, a lot of TikToks and Instagram reels about people or about other airlines not assisting like they should as far as getting these people back home, because you got to look at it. Some people were in the middle of their vacations when this shutdown happened. Some people were or they went one place and don't have a way to go back. So a lot of this is affecting a lot of people. And like the flight attendant said, she's not even near her home. She flew to Houston on that last flight, and they got to get her back home to Atlanta. So it really inconvenienced a lot of people. Roxy is tapping in from our last segment. She said sometimes genetics take a huge factor too, though. I have 2 cousins that were on dialysis and received transplants, and no matter what they did, it was all genetics for them. I want to tap in on that too. As far as genetics go, Roxy, you're right about that. Miles said, "I flew Spirit once. Hey, fly budget, stay luxury." That's, I'm a Delta girl. I'll fly Delta. I'll check Delta first before I check anybody else. I'm gonna check Delta first. And Too Deep says, so I got stock in United. Come to United, people. I flew United. I've flown every other airline, I think, major airline. I haven't flown JetBlue or Frontier, but every other major airline, Delta, United, Continental when they were around. Is Continental still around? Continental, American, did I say American? Finally flew Southwest back in February for the first time. Yeah, so Rumpelstiltskin. Spirit has been teetering for years. Balance sheet was weak and margins in the industry are always lean. Welcome in. I appreciate your comment. Make sure you subscribe. I bring the weekly rain report to you every week. This is the second week for this, but I plan on doing it every Sunday from now on. Tristan is in the building. Hey, Tristan, I appreciate you being here. He said, what up, softy? Rumpelstiltskin said gas prices likely to peak next month or early July. Current futures contracts are expecting 105 per barrel. Then S. Okay. Is it like, what is it now? What's the oil prices now per barrel? Isn't it like 126? Tristan said, what up, y'all? Miles said, I have to buy premium, pay $40 for just over 6 gallons. My car, I'm thankful it takes 89. Isn't it 89? Something like that. Rumpelstiltskin said, what you driving, Miles? An Infinity V8. Yeah, you got to use that good gas in that one. Nice, but ouch. Prices should come down midsummer. I believe so. And Sudeep said, my Glamour and Breezy Fund is open on Cash App. I am not fully monetized here on YouTube. So if you would like to donate and be generous, you can hit my Cash App. It's Soft Rain, RSCREIGN. Soft Rain, REIGN. I appreciate y'all. Tristan said, Spirit is a little too ghetto. I can't do it. Classic said, who told them it was genetic? Do they stand to profit off their illness? Classic. You know what? We should bring this in, Classic. Put it on a notepad. Talk about genetics and whatnot. That would be a good show to talk about genetics and what we bring. So this is I'm gonna play this last video for Spirit. This is how the other airlines are going to be helping out. So play this last video and then I'm gonna get up out of here. I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight though. If y'all are in here for the first time, and make sure you like this stream, of course, make sure you share it with somebody who might need it. And most importantly, Rumpelstiltskin, since you've been commenting, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. At the end, I'll go through all the shows that I'm a part of, the coalition and all that.
Breaking news this morning, Spirit Airlines has shut down its operations and it is urging passengers not to go to the airport if you have a Spirit flight today. We know a lot of you may have immediate travel plans, so other airlines are stepping in to help Spirit customers. That includes Southwest, American, Frontier, and JetBlue Airlines. All of them are offering rescue fares. Spirit Airlines has been around for more than 3 decades, and this shutdown is effective immediately. The company tried to make a deal with the federal government to stay open after years of financial struggles, but it was not enough. The airline's president and CEO, Dave Davis, shared this statement overnight, saying in part, for more than 30 years, Spirit Airlines has played a pioneering role in making travel more accessible and bringing together people while driving affordability across the industry. He goes on to say, quote, I want to thank the Trump administration for their extraordinary efforts to try to preserve jobs and service across the country. Now, flights for Spirit Airlines stopped around 2 a.m. local time this morning, stranding thousands of passengers across the country. Here's ABC's Michelle Franzen.
After 3 decades in the skies, Spirit Airlines is shutting down, ceasing operations for good, forcing passengers flying in the coming days to scramble.
I'm actually shocked. At this point, I don't know what to do at this point.
Spirit Airlines had been seeking about $500 million in federal aid in exchange for giving the U.S. government a majority stake in the company, but the two sides unable to reach a deal. Spirit helped define the era of no-frills air travel, ultra-low base fares with fees for nearly everything else, from bags to seats to snacks, a model that's spread across the industry. But the bargain carrier buckling under years of pressure. First, the COVID pandemic, then competition from larger airlines, and most recently, surging fuel costs, more than doubling, pushing Spirit to the edge and now out of the sky.
I hope the prices aren't too much higher, whoever else I have to fly with.
For passengers seeking refunds, the airline says tickets bought directly with a credit or debit card will be returned to the original form of payment. Those who booked through a travel agent are being told to contact that company directly. But for customers who used vouchers, credits, or loyalty points, any potential reimbursement will be decided later through the bankruptcy process. The company has also set up a website with more details about the shutdown and next steps for travelers. Meanwhile, the airline says it will try to avoid any mid-air disruptions, ensuring flights already en route can continue to their destinations. Planes that have just taken off, however, could be turned back to their departure airports.
Wow, wait.
Michelle Franzen, ABC.
That's tough. So if I'm in the middle of a flight, you're not even going to go to the destination? You're going to turn around and go back? I wonder if that happened to anybody.
News, New York.
And for Spirit customers, if your flight was canceled or impacted by this, you can contact the airline's claims agent, Epic, by calling 85.
But how does that work, y'all? That is crazy. So if I'm on a flight and you would think they would be more organized in how they shut it down. I guess they don't care because they are being shut down. Because wow, that's wild, y'all. That's wait.
952-6606, or you can email them at spiritairlineinfo@epicglobal.com. Again, that number and email, it is on your screen. We'll bring it up throughout the show for you. Airlines based in North Texas are now stepping up to help passengers impacted by the Spirit shutdown. Dallas-based Southwest says people with Spirit reservations can access special fares at Southwest ticket counters through Wednesday, May 6th. That includes both domestic and international trips. American Airlines is also joining in. The Fort Worth-based carrier services 67 of the routes Spirit was operating. It says it's also working to provide transportation to Spirit employees who have been displaced during a work trip and will hold job recruiting events for anyone considering to work at their airlines. Meantime, Frontier is offering 50% off fares for flights through November 19th. Use the code SAVE-NOW when you book online through their app. Today's announcement is expected to impact DFW Airport. Spirit flew out of Terminal E and accounted for more than 1 million passengers in the last fiscal year, ending in September. At DFW, Spirit was the 4th largest carrier behind American Airlines, Frontier, and Delta. It also ranked as the airport's 6th largest customer, generating about $15 million in revenue during that same time period. This comes as the summer travel season kicks off later this month, and experts predict travel demand to be high despite rising costs. Recent trends show more than half of Americans are choosing to fly to their destinations this summer. We're going to continue to bring you the latest on Spirit Airlines.
That's crazy, y'all. Having a turnaround, I still can't get over that. Having a turnaround mid-flight because the airline shut down. You would think they would have did it in a more organized fashion. Like after this time, all flights after this time are canceled. The flight ends and then it cancels. Everything after that is canceled. Roxy said multiple doctors and specialists, one had just passed this November. My condolences, Roxy. Sko said, yes, it's been cancellations all weekend. I bet it's been crazy at the airport for y'all. Miles said, that's crazy and dangerous. At least finish the flight. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's wild. And then you're leaving your employees, not necessarily, I guess, stranded, essentially. That is crazy. Rumpelstiltskin said, I flew from Boston to Islip, New York once in a twin otter. Smelled like a gas can and shook more than Chubby Checker. Rigid. Welcome in, Rigid. I'm glad that you're here. You came in on the last little bit, but I'm glad you're here. Make sure you watch the rewatch to catch the rest of the news stories that I brought. Rigid said the change in laws to charge rappers for what they say in songs is wild. Huh? Where they come from, Richard? Tristan said, now that's some good ish. They basically telling folks to go figure. Right. Like, y'all, we're closed now. Y'all figure it out. That is wild. That is beyond, to me, it's crazy. It's crazy, y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with me, though. Tristan was in the building. Let me see who I was in here today. Let's see. Of course, Into Deep was in here, and Jen was in here. Sko, Hayden Tanner, thank you for stopping in. Uncle Plug TV stopped by. Good sports show. Good segment earlier, too, Uncle Plug. Let's see. Miles was here. Souls was here. Vaughn Type Flight was here. Thank you for stopping in, Vaughn. Let's see who else was in here. Classic was here. Thank you, Classic, for stopping in. And Roxy, I appreciate you being in here. Tristan, of course. And Rumpelstiltskin, please make sure you subscribe. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Roxy, I said Roxy. And Rigid. Oops. There we go. Rigid. Thank you for stopping in, Rigid. You said canceling fights is wild. I said changing laws and charging people wild. Oh, so I misread your comment then. The changing laws to charge rappers for what they say in songs is wild. Okay, I got you. Hey, I was born a blonde. So my apologies. You said canceling flights is wild. I said changing laws and charging people wild. Absolutely. Rumpelstiltskin said the creditors requiring access don't get misused or worse. I get it. So thank y'all for stopping in for this edition of Weekly Rain Report. Next Sunday, I'm going to try to go on at 7. My nap got me tied up this afternoon. And I know we were talking about naps on somebody's live. I can't remember exactly who it was, but we were talking about naps. And yes, I appreciate a good nap, especially mid-afternoon or late afternoon sometimes too. Yeah, so I appreciate y'all being in here with me. And so I'm going to recap of what we talked about today. We did an update on the David case with the unfortunate unaliving of Celeste Hernandez. And we also talked about the investigation into the New Orleans sheriff that was tied to the escape of 10 inmates. And under policy and pressure, we talked about the right to vote and America's role on the world stage, where with the Germany pullout of 5,000 troops. And we touched down back in for Hometown Reign with TJ Parker, who is now part of the Buffalo Bills. He was in the second round draft pick, number 35. And we're going to keep track of him. I'm bringing more updates on him. And of course, for the Soul Reset, we talked about somebody literally giving a piece of themselves to save another person's life. And we touched on some breaking news. Spirit Airlines closing down. So I appreciate y'all being here with me. Thank y'all for spending your evening with me, and come back and see me next week. Now, let's go over this. So y'all can catch me on Monday and Tuesday and every other Wednesday nights over on Souls of Thought channel. I am part of the No Middleman panel along with Souls and Uncle Plug. We usually go on around 9:30 Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, and every other Wednesday night. So make sure y'all check me out there. On Thursdays, y'all can catch me on my channel, this channel you're watching from now. And I do a live call-in show where we talk about relationships, friendships, and any and everything in between. And y'all can call me and talk to me live. If you haven't, if this is your first time here, go over to or look at some of my call-in shows that I've had, and make yourself available on Thursday nights. I try to go earlier, but sometimes life just happens. And usually you can catch me there about 9:30 Eastern on Thursdays too. So you can catch me on Sunday. Well, Sunday through Thursday now. Sunday through Thursday. And I have a new show, or we have a new show with Souls, me and Souls, coming up on Friday for the first time. Make sure y'all check that out. And actually, hold on. Let me see if I got that. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can. No, I don't think I can pull that up. I might be able to. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see, y'all. Let's see. Is it still on here? Hold on. I'm going to see if it'll pop up, y'all. No, it's not on there. Oh man. It ain't on there, y'all. So I have to share it with y'all later. Yeah. I have to share that with y'all later. So make sure y'all check in with us on Friday nights over on Souls of Thought channel. I don't know. We're gonna stream from both channels. I have to check in with him on that. But yeah, you catch me Sunday through Friday. How about that? I am part of the Raw Society Coalition, and I don't even have that. I was in here moving things around. I don't have that, but the Raw Society Coalition, as a matter of fact, I'll pull it up though. Hold on. So y'all can see it. Where did that show more? The Raw Society Coalition. There it is. Uh-oh. There we go. Now, where did they go? Y'all, it would act funny on me at the very end, y'all. Well, hold on. There we go. Let me pull it up. There we go. I am part of the Raw Society Coalition, and we formed together like Voltron, of course. And there we go. You have Tez right up here on the left. Tez, from the Tez down, he goes live midday-ish throughout the week. Classic Code goes live 10 days a week. 10 days a week. You can usually catch him on your ride home in the afternoon with some awesome stories. He does some good commentary for and calling the fights whenever boxing matches happen. And in the middle, you see me. I am Soft Rain. And of course, you got Souls of Thought right there. He is the founder in the red of the Raw Society Coalition. And he is the one who put together the No Middleman panel. And you got Uncle Plug TV, which he's been doing some great content over there at his channel as well. We all have our own channels, but we formed together the Raw Society Coalition. We're just a group of content creators that like to bring y'all great content. So there you go. There's that. And I'm going to get to these comments. Ooh, y'all did me a lot. Hold on. Rumpelstiltskin said naps are good. Classic and Tez down. Yep. Tez down don't like them. Yeah, he doesn't like naps. Oh, that Classic and Tez were the one talking about naps. Make sure you subscribe to RSC as well. We are trying to get the 500 subscribers. I'm trying to get the 500 subscribers. So make sure y'all check in with me too. And Richard said, I'm going to watch the last two shows. Talk to you later. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate you, Richard. And Into Deep said, okay, yep. He put it on both sides. And there's Souls of Thoughts channel, where you can catch me on Monday, Tuesday, and every other Wednesday night. Hey. And yes, once you see the numbers on the phone number is 205-265-1465, I think, for my live call-in show, call. And if you want to leave a comment on the voicemail, leave a comment on the voicemail, and I'll listen to your voicemail live on stream. Roxy said, be blessed, y'all. I appreciate you, Roxy. And also, we are on Discord. There's the Discord link in the comments. You can reach all of us there and leave your comments in there as well. Give us some topics you'd like to talk about. We're here for you. We're here for you. And there's Classic Codes. Classic has 4 channels, y'all. He has Classic Code Sports, Classic Code Rewind, and Classic Codes clips as well. So catch him on all 4 of his channels. There's that. And Uncle Plug, we are trying to help him get to that 4,000 hour mark so we can get him monetized. So make sure y'all go over there and rewatch some of his story. He has a 10-part story time, y'all. And then I think he started a new story time series as well. So make sure y'all go over there and check out his great content. And there's the Tez down. Yep, there's the phone number, y'all, 205-265-1465. Don't call it right now. I'm not going to answer. But call it anytime throughout the week and leave me a voicemail, and we'll talk about it live on my show on Thursday nights. And if you want to share subjects that you want me to cover, if you want to leave me a anonymous letter, I won't share your name, email me, conversationswithsoftrain@gmail.com. I'll share it on my live show too, and we'll talk about it. Of course. Roxy said, laughing, naps are king. Absolutely. Naps can be a good reset for anybody. Sometimes I think naps can last too long though and make you over tiring. Yeah. So thank y'all, everybody, for tapping in. This went longer than I expected, but that's a good thing. Of course, make sure adjust your crown, queen. Your reign is safe with me, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Good night, y'all.
It's your girl, Soft Rain. Real talk, no filter, no disguise. Every headline, I'm breaking it live. From the streets to the pressure up top. We see it all, yeah, we connect the dots. Weekly rain, yeah, we run it down. Truth hit different when it wear a crown. No fluff, no cap, just facts in sight. Welcome to the weekly rain report. Let's get into it tonight.